Hamilton in the middle of the street wearing a Topshop dress, and later, one day later, just seeing that it was sold out. From the simple example, we can see what a big impact such a public figures have on us, and therefore we believe that lives of public figures should be open to the press. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome at the final debate. I'm really honored that we are the one of participants, and welcome from the side of proposition. As a first speaker, I will structure my speech, first of all, with buildings free definitions, and later on by explaining our four structure arguments. So if you just let me to go through the definitions of today's topic. So what is private life? We consider private life as the social or family life or personal relationships of an individual, especially of a person that is mainly in the public eye, such as a politician or a celebrity. Then public figures. Public figures is a personage of a great public interest or familiarity, like government official, politician, celebrity, business leader, movie star, or a sports hero. And then at the end, also of the definition of a press. Press are those who work in the news media, especially news reporting, reporters, photographers, journalism, etc. So, and now if I move on to our arguments, what I would like to expose is that today's discussion should be about comparing two values. Firstly, comparing the value of being informed, and the second one, wait on the right to have a private life. And we believe that we should expose the value to be informed because of the impact that public figures have on us. So the main problem that we are facing today is that the information that we are gaining today are actually just a half of the information, and we see a problem that we are not facing the real picture, or even worse, we are not getting the full picture, and that's what we want to solve on the side of proposition. So, if I now move to my arguments, which I will present you three of my arguments. The first one will be public figures as a role model. The second one, people with the power, and the third one, no exact border. So, I would also, so in the first argument, people figures as a role model. If I give you an example of an investigation that was made by Albert Bandura, but from his investigations of social learning in theory, we see that the people which are most exposed in the media are the ones who we identify with. They are actually our reference group, which are our role model for people, and people identify with them. Identification is one of the main things that we do in our lives, because later on we behave like them, we dress like them, we are supporting their values, we are supporting their rules, norms that they are gaining, especially if we are talking about the political atmosphere. And there we see an importance that we gain the whole picture, that we are aware of what we support and who we want to look up to. So as I said, they are exposed widely, and society identifies with them because they are building laws, they are building trends, they are actually operating with our lives, and they are also building some ideals which we want to follow. And they have actually an influence over the majority. They have bigger influence than the ordinary people. Because of so many people which are identifying with them, it's very important that we know the truth, that we show the full picture, and not let the magazines give us picture that adjusted to them just because of their profit, just because of their interest, and just because of long restrictions. So therefore, we believe that identifications with public figures, if we are debating today about them, it's even more important to know who are we identifying with, and only with showing the full picture, with opening the press, with opening their private life to the press, we will gain the real situation. Then, if I move on to my second argument, it's people with power. We know that actually today. The politicians are voted by us. We are the ones who will choose who will create our laws, who will say how our actually life will take a flow. So they are the ones who are leading our country, and therefore we have a right to know what happens in their private life. Because the politician, it's not only the personality of one politician. It's not only created from what he does at his job, what he does when he comes to the government. But it's consistent of also private life. I will show you on one example. For example, we know. No, thank you. For example, we know the example of Bill Clinton. His marriage to Hillary Clinton. I think that's the fact that everybody knows. But what happened is that he had an affair with Monica Lewinsky, and he broke a promise in his private life, and what we saw in his public life happened the same thing. He broke a promise when he in his campaign was giving us a promise how he will ban the prohibiting of homosexuals in army. But what he did nothing. Even worse, he approved a marriage that doesn't motivate same-sexual marriages. And from this example, we see that actually the personality and the role of people with power is actually consistent of two things: of private life, and on the other hand, the one that of his job. And there we see a point that we should open private lives to the media, to the press, and they are the fastest tool that are actually transforming the informations to a public, and there is a justification in that case. So nobody will say, like, I don't care how he is at home, just that he's a good politician. No, nobody will say that. But because I showed you in one example how it is the consequences of the values that he has at home in private life, and then the consequence in his public life. And then if I move on to my third argument, which will be no exact borders. So the politicians are the ones that are creating our system with laws and so on. And right now, the status quo is a problem because they're the ones who are building us borders. They're the ones who are saying, where is the end? And there we see a problem. Because they're the ones who can abuse such a thing. They're the ones who will show us just something that's appropriate for them, but not something that also the public would know. They're the ones who are for regulating our system, and they're the ones who are abusing actually the purpose. And if we will let them, that they are the ones who regulate our law, and they're the ones who adopt such a thing just for themselves, we won't get the real situations, but we will just want to have ideals that are shown just as they want, as media, as a press wants, and so on. So there we see a problem, and that's the main reason why we want to show everything and why we want to show the real situation, because they are the ones who we identify with, as I showed you in my first argument, and the other thing, they are the ones who are giving us laws. So because of all those reasons, please, I beg you go with the side of proposition. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. The first speaker of proposition B. So we invite to continue the motion the first speaker of opposition team.
Hello, my name is Stepan, I am from Czech Debate Society, Czech team, and today's motion is this House believes that private lives of public figures should be open to the press. First I would like to present our team. I am Stepan, as I said, second speaker is Tony, and third speaker is Maria. We would like to show you today that we don't agree that private life of public figures should be opened to the media press, and for one good reason. The reason is our goal, and I would like to present it now. Our goal is private and public life are two interconnected things. We can't mix them. First, I would like to say something to our opponent's speech, and then I would like to present our arguments and show why we think that private lives shouldn't be open to a press. First, I would like to have not question, but I was a little bit confused that there was a third point. It was that there isn't any specific borderline, So we don't know how we can divide when you said there isn't any borderline. To your arguments, you said few things that we really don't agree with.
Comment?
No. That information about people, public or the celebrities, we get only a few information now. Well, if you want to open this to press, how we can guarantee, where is the warranty that everything what should be known would get to public and to newspaper? You can't guarantee that, so we think that this isn't a very good argument. Second thing is that public figure could be seen as a model. Well, it's in the clash with our argument, which I'm gonna tell you that if a person is considered to be a model, it is the other thing. In the pure thing, we talk about private life and public life. Private life, as you defined it, and public life is what the person does. The thing that he is a model is other thing. I think that people should assess the information, what they get to them, and once there is a scandal, people would know how to behave. And also, we think that personal life doesn't affect professional life. It's one our argument, and I would give you a few examples that private life didn't.
Comment?
No thanks. Didn't affect directly the leadership. So we think this isn't true. For example, look at Kennedy. He was a womanizer, but he was a good president. So if we get him away from the leadership of the country, there wouldn't be any good reforms because of his personal life's fault. And no thanks. And we can have a lot of people like that have we can say bad private life, but they were excellent in their public life. Look at Steve Jobs. He was a bad father. He was using drugs. He was doing all things that shouldn't be done. But now the people, his work is seen everywhere here. So if he was assessed as a bad person because of his bad lifestyle or his bad personal life, there wouldn't be any. We can't connect these things. That leadership isn't a personal life. Another example of this is one person which had good private life, but he was also a good leader, but he was doing bad things. It was Adolf Hitler, but I think we shouldn't discuss him now. So we think that public life isn't a guarantee of good leadership, so we can't connect these two things, and we think that bad private life as such isn't a bad professional life. And also we think that the publicly known person or celebrity should have has a right to have a freedom when he comes home. So we think that we shouldn't open his private life because it's his private life and it doesn't directly affect us as his leadership does. And it isn't also a warranty of his bad professional life. For example,
comment?
No thanks. For example, if I have to demonstrate these things on debating example, you are good guys, but now I don't like you because I am debating against you. It's the same thing that I have a right to have a different approach to you in a personal life and different approach in a public life. So I think that these two things, if we connect these two things, I don't know what would be the result. So our goal and our arguments shows that public life doesn't affect private life, and public life shouldn't be mixed with public life. And these are two very interconnected lines, which we think that full stop. So I think that I've presented our two arguments about freedom of public and private life, and that there is no connection why we should know private life of the figures and how it affects the leadership. So if I can raise here a question, I would like to ask you how private life affects leadership, and why people like Kennedy or Steve Jobs or other bad people in private life are so good, and they improved our lives in this way, and how it could happen. So I think that our arguments and goal is clear, and I think that there is my speech, finish of my speech.
Okay, thank you very much, the first speaker of opposition team. So we invite to continue our debate the second speaker of proposition team.
So, ladies and gentlemen, in my speech I'll show you why we should reveal, why we should show the, why we should open the life of public figures to the press, because our side believes, the side proposition today believes, that public figures have so great impact on our daily life, public figures have so great impact on us and on every one of us, that we have the right to know also about their private life, we have a right to know also about their values, we have the right to know about their full personality, because it's the only way to give us really the freedom of choice, to give us the ability to decide about the people and to judge about the people, because we believe that private life is an important part of their life, which also affects their professional actions and their actions which also affect us. So to give the people this freedom of choice, to give the people this full picture, we believe that we should open their private life to the press. So my speech will be basically constructed of three main parts. Firstly, I'll refute the opponent team, then re-establish our arguments and give you some deeper analysis about this problem. And in our fourth argument, I'll talk about importance of media as such. So, so firstly, the side opposition in today's debate was trying to show us that public and private lives are two not connected things, and therefore we should not talk about public figures' private life. But firstly, as the side proposition today presented to you, firstly, values are the same for the private and for the public life. So if someone is a bad person, if someone is an unfair person in his private life, it is a big possibility that it will be a bad, unfair person also in his public life. For example, in his political life. For example, in his business life. So, and that was presented on the example of Bill Clinton. Also, no, thank you. We believe it is justifiable to do that because their actions and their personality has a great effect on us. And also, we are talking about this specific borderline, and as our first speaker represented to you, there is no specific borderline about public and private life. And also, the problem is because politicians can always adjust. Public people are people with power, and they can always adjust its regulations. So to get really the best, the most realistic picture, I think that we believe that we should reveal everything. We should reveal also their private lives, and also we should ask ourselves who is controlling the media now. important people are controlling the media, and the side proposition wants to get rid of that, because the problem in today's situation is that, for example, some investigative journalists cannot post their stories, paparazzis are forbidden and stuff like that because of some law, because of some regulations, and also important public figures can control what media will post about them, and therefore people cannot get real picture about them. And also you are talking about the example of Steve Jobs, and that we know all about his private life, but yeah, it is. And that example is also a proof which goes to our side. We know everything about his private life. We know that he was using drugs. We know that he was a bad father. But because we have a full picture, we can judge him. Maybe he did some things wrong, but he was not a bad person, and he did many good things. No, thank you. He did many good things. So the re-establishment of our arguments, we believe that. That values the values of the person in his private life also affect his public life, and because of influence of that people, it is justifiable to reveal their private life, as it is represented in an example of Bill Clinton. And so things they're doing, they're not the same, but their values are the same all the time, and that's what we should talk about. So to move to the constructive part of my speech and to give you some deeper analysis of that problem. So in the constructive part of my speech, I'll talk about importance of media. So with our change, media can improve our democratic society, to move it in a better way. So media can give protection for the people. Media can give protection for the democratic society. For example, politicians are not only so the media can give protection to our society. So press is what the importance of press is so big in that case. Firstly, because press is mass media and press is public, and they're also curious, and they can find out the stories that the public is not aware of, and if we have their access of their private life, we can get a more realistic, more real picture. And for example, in this case, media could work like a safety switch, because for example in Slovenia we have a lot of politicians who, and we believe that they are fair and they are good, but also the media revealed some things from their past. For example, the mayor of Ljubljana, which is a very important public person in Slovenia, has a lot of these grey economy jobs, and for his private life we found out that he's not really good and he's not really fair person, and then we could judge also his actions as politician on different way, and now we look at him on a totally different way. So in that case, media helped us to really find out what is he doing, and also media gave us media improved our society as such. Media improved our democratic country as such, because they gave us the full picture. They gave us the full picture of him, because his actions, because he's important public person, have big impact on us. So that's why we believe that it is crucial on that point to reveal his actions to the public, because for example now we can understand him as a person, now we can understand his values, and he probably will not be elected on the next elections, because we know that he's not a good person, he's not fair, and therefore he could hurt our society. So we believe that media can also work as a safety switch here if they'll have the possibility. If they have a possibility to access all the data. So because of all these reasons, we beg to propose the motion. Thank you.
Thank you, the second speaker. Thank you, the second speaker of proposition team. And we'd like to invite the second speaker of opposition team.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Antonin Tichy and I'm the second speaker of opposition. First, I would like to talk about their arguments and their examples. The third argument is that there are no exact borders, and that we should show all these things about private life. But you know where's the problem here? Now, when we are not showing everything and we buy some paparazzi magazine, we know that it's most of lies. But when we open their private life to press, we will believe that everything what is written is true. And then we have a big problem. Plus, we could have problem with the corruption. Someone make a bad thing, some public person. Then some journalist goes to press him to talk to him, and he can easily corrupt him. Now, is there used example of this man from Slovenia who is a great leader in his economic thing, but he's a bad person, so they probably don't want him as a president or like this. Well, you know, when you look only on this person life, it's not that useful in being a president as that he can lead his company. I'm going to show you an example from Czech Republic. Last week we had elections to governments. One famous person who writes a big company in Czech Republic, the second most rich person in Czech Republic, created this politician party. Even though he was once he worked for STB, they elected him. His party was the second in elections, because we know that even though he was bad in his private life, he is a good leader, he's a good public person. Now I'm gonna talk about our arguments. One of our arguments is effects on leaderships. As we have this goal that we cannot mix public and private lives, we were showing you some examples of Steve Jobs, Kennedy, and my friend mentioned Adolf Hitler. It's a completely something completely different than Kennedy and so on. He wasn't a bad person in his private life. He was vegetarian, he wasn't drinking, he wasn't smoking. He was painting really nice pictures. But in his public life, you know what happened. Second World War, Jews and so on. This is, if we knew this, if we knew this before he did these bad things, that he's a vegetarian, he don't drink, he don't smoke, we would say, as probably probably society said, he's a great person. He cannot. No thanks. He cannot do anything bad for us. And then, as a public figure, he actually failed a lot.
On that point, sir. Okay. If you'll know him as a person, in his personal life, you will not know only about the paintings and only about that he's a vegetarian, but you will also know that his values are totally wrong, and that's what the side proposition is talking about today.
Well, he's actually he was also a silent person. He wasn't extrovert, he was introvert. That's why he was painting actually. So he would not tell you that I want to rule the world and kill the Jews. You know, he showed that when he gets the power. As our second argument, actually first argument is freedom. I will show you something, especially for you. You are sitting here, like being a public figure for audience. How will you feel after the end? You will feel, wow, now I can be myself. I do not have to act like the most intelligent person and saying to others what they should do. You know, you are going to be free. That's the problem if we we will let journalists and so on to press public figures in their private lives. They will not have no freedom. They will actually they will not have these parts of life when they can just sit on a sofa or sit in the cafeteria and drink coffee as a normal person. Everyone will look at him that he's that bad boy, even if they knew him before it was all published. You know. Now, I'm gonna get back to one of their arguments. They were saying that public figures are role models. Now, imagine you have an idol. I think most of you have some idol. Now you know what he does in his public life and you love him. Now they show his private life. If he's doing bad in his private life, you as A will be disappointed, or as B you will refuse him as your idol. And even though you liked him, you will stop that. So he could have been the best person in the world, but he will not have an opportunity to show himself because you refused him because of some of his parts of life which wasn't that great. Thank you for your attention.
Okay, thank you very much. The second speaker of opposition, and without further delay, we invite the third speaker of proposition team.
Hello, honorable judges, dear audience. I'm Eva, I'm the third speaker of today's proposition side. And as the third speaker, my job is to go through the debate, show you why our points still stand, why we have proven that we should allow press to reveal the private life of public figures. And I will also go through the case of today's opposition side and again try to negate their points. So, today's opposition side was claiming through their two speeches that firstly, private and personal life are two different things. Ladies and gentlemen, politicians, for their campaign, they use their family. You see them on a picture with a family dog, a family cat, a daughter, a wife, and here is this connection. This is why the private life is connected to the public life, because of the promotion, because you use your private life to promote your public. Secondly, personal life doesn't affect the public life. We gave you the example of Bill Clinton. It does if the person has wrong values in his private life as a person. These values and the way he reacts in certain situations will reflect in his public life. the opposition side gave us the example of Kennedy and Steve Jobs, even Hitler, and in the case of Steve Jobs, he was abusing drugs, he was a bad father, he was a great inventor, we agree on that point. But this is the point, yeah, we know everything about him, we know his good sides, that he was an inventor, also we know the bad side of his life, so that he was abusing drugs and that he was a bad father. And this is why we can judge him, this is why we have the right to say, okay, he can't be my role model because he was abusing drugs. They have the right to freedom, yeah, but we also have the right to know who we identify to, who we want to look like, no thank you. And we judge people, but we don't know the whole story, we don't know the background of their story, and especially in the case of politicians, this is really important, because maybe if we would know the background in their personal life, we would understand better why they made certain decisions for our country that we live in, for the people we vote for to lead our country, to take care of us. And in the case of Hitler, yeah, he was nice in private life, he was a vegetarian, he painted, but he also wrote a book that was called Mein Kampf. That means my fight. And I think that this book shows that this guy, Adolf Hitler, had the wrong values, and that reflected in his actions during the Second World War. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the first thing. And the second thing is that the media, the press, they were the ones who, in the end, who revealed what was going on. They are the ones who always reveal what's going on behind it. And that because we know what he was doing, because we know that he wrote this book, we can judge him, we can say he was a bad person, he had wrong values in his life. Also, I would like to say that if a celebrity, a politician, a public person is proud of his actions, and if I'm proud of my actions, I will have no problem revealing that as a public person. I will have no problem saying, I was raised like this, I lived here, I did that, if I'm proud of it. But this is the concern today, ladies and gentlemen, because politics and public persons hide things from us, and this is why they don't want us in their private life. But on the other hand, we have to know, again, we have to know what's going on in their private life, because, as we told you, they are our role models. And if there are some things that they are not proud of, if they are our role models, we also have to know these things, because then we can decide if we will be like them, if we will try to be like them. And the opposition side said, if you have an idol and then you find out certain things about him, then you don't like him anymore. Yeah, that's the point. If you know the things, you can decide whether you like this person or not. The public persons and politicians often do that. They only show the good sides of them. They only show how happy they are with their family and everything. But in the end, it shows that the politician was actually cheating on his wife for 20 years, like in the case of Bill Clinton, not for 20 years, but okay. So yeah, in our second speech, we were talking about the importance of media. Why media? Because the media the press is public, it's mass, and it's curious, and it can reveal us, it can tell us everything we have to know. And if they reveal us the real thing behind behind everything that is public, we can see the real picture. We can decide whether to support this person, whether to like this person, or to judge him. And we can judge him because we know his background story. And yes, it's protection for the people. It's better for democratic society, because we see the full picture. Again, we see the full picture, and this is better for democracy. So again, yeah, corruption. They also mentioned corruption. Yeah, the politics can corrupt paparazzi and media. Of course they can. Corruption is, corruption will be, always and everywhere. But still, we think that media will media will and media does reveal certain things about people, and this is good for the country. This is good for the democracy, because if someone decides in the case of politicians, if we vote for someone and we trust just a second, we trust someone to decide for us, we have the right to know what his values are. Please.
No question.
So yeah, because of all the points that today's proposition showed to you, we beg you to propose today's motion. Thank you.
Thank you, the third speaker of proposition team, and we'd like to invite the third speaker of opposition team.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen. I'm the third speaker of the CDS team, Maria, and today I'm going to show you why we think that the private lives of public figures should not be opened to the press. The first, our points at the same time as they are our points. They define the points of our today's proposition. The first was that the private life and of the public figures and their public doings are not connected with each other. Because the good private life isn't the guarantee of good doings in the public sphere, and the bad private life isn't the guarantee of the bad doings of the politicians. So that was the example of Adolf Hitler, who was perfect, nearly perfect in his private life, but he was a bad dictator and he started the Second World War. And that was the Kennedy and Steve Jobs, who were not very good, but they were still great in what they did for us. The second and the main point, the press lies. So, there are and there will always be people in press who are lying. But in the case when there will be a law that opens a private life to a press, we will take everything that journalists tell as the truth, even if it is a lie. So our critical minding would be switched off, because we will understand, we will take everything as the truth. But still, the journalist can be easily corrupted by the people who want to show their perfect private lives and don't want to show their bad points. It happens now, but if we reveal the private lives of public figures as the law, it will be even more bad than it is now, because there are no perfect people, but we have to take we have to divide the private in this we can connect that we have to divide the private life from the public life of these figures. The public life, the man can be a perfect ruler of the country. No, thank you very much. But he can have not very good family situation. For example, he always cheats on his wife, maybe because he doesn't love her. That's his private thing. We shouldn't take the private thing as the main of what the man does. And the third point, no, thank you very much. And the third point is democracy. When we take the law that reveals the private life to the public, we will break the democracy. We will break the freedom of man to be himself. We won't have any the democratic system that we built for many years will be just broken, and it won't. It will, on one hand, it will be actually in our life, but on the other hand, the democracy, the people who make the democracy, the politicians, and maybe some people the celebrities, they won't get this democracy. They won't get this democracy. They won't get any variance of their lives. They will be chained. They will not have any opportunities to be themselves. That everything that they do, they will have to control themselves in every word, in every step. That is not normal. That is not human. So today, I think in these three main points, I think we clashed and rebutted all the points of our proposition team, and now I think that with these 3 points, you dear judges will decide who is the best today. I think I think we told you everything, and oh my God, we showed you that private lives of public figures should not be opened to press, because it can make because of this very bad things can happen. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. This is Speaker of Opposition, and now for reply speech, we are coming nearly to the end. We invite the opposition team.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, it's me, Antonín Tichy, for the second time, and I'm here to sum up this debate. As the first, I will present you what this side bring to us and what they try to show us and how we refute it. At the first, they wanted to prove us that public life as a role model has big effect to us, and if we don't show everything from the life, we don't know how to actually act, and we broke this with that when we show actually these lives, we are going to be disappointed and we are going to refuse these models because we no longer actually like them. Their second argument was that was about people with the power. They tried to show us what effects it has on example of Slovenian famous person. We showed you one country example with another, our Czech famous person, and with that we've shown you that their example is actually really bad, and you know. And their third argument was that there will be no exact border. We broke this with an argument that if we showing everything with no exact border, we are going to have problems because we trust everything what they say to us, but not everything can be true because of corruption and so on. Now I'm going to present you once again our arguments and our goal. Our goal was to show you that private and public life, these are two interconnected things we cannot mix. We proved that with two arguments. The first argument was, actually the second argument was about effects on leaderships. we've shown you that if there's some good leader and he has bad private life, it don't have to have effects on this public life. We shown you that even if there's someone bad person, he could be great leader, and if we show you these bad things from his private life, it can be really bad for his public life and he can fall down. As the first argument, we presented you that this is important to save person's freedom. We told you that democracy cannot take out our freedom, and if we actually show everything about public figures, they will be like prisoners of society. So now, once again, we've shown you that our arguments are better and they stand. Also, we've shown you that their arguments are not that good and they fell down. That's why we think we should win this debate. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, the reply speaker, and finally the reply speaker of proposition team.
So, today everyone wants to live in as good society as he can. And today public persons, public figures have big impact on us, have big impact on our lives, and have big impact on the lives of the people who will come after us. And we are very lucky because we have the possibility to choose them. We have the possibility to choose who will we identify with, who our leaders will be, who the public persons will be. But the side proposition believes that we can really make a choice, that we can really make a rational choice only if we get the full picture, and that is very important for our life. And the side with this change, I think that we'll be capable of doing better decisions in the future. That we can will be able to reach better society in the future if these things will be revealed. So in my reply speech, I'll basically talk about two main clashes. I'll talk about democratic society, and I'll talk about values, and I'll analyze the cases of these persons and represent you why our points are right. Because I think that these cases were really were a big part of this debate, so we should talk about them. Firstly, when we talk about democratic society and values, as we represented, that the values are the same in our private life and also in our public life. And on that point, we're talking mostly about cases of Bill Clinton and about cases of this mayor of Ljubljana. So, in both cases, values, their personal values in their private life were wrong, and they were doing bad things. They were doing bad things in their private life. So, and they also didn't. So, for example, Bill Clinton didn't respect the promise of marriage. So he broke the promise, and he also broke the promise as a politician. The mayor of Ljubljana was not fair as a businessman. He also was not fair as a politician. So what the side proposition was trying to show in this debate, that values that come from you, that values you use in your private life, they also reflect the things you'll do in your public life. And if we had the full picture of that person's, they probably won't even be elected, and they probably won't do bad changes to our society. So definitely the point that we should reveal the person's personal life and that these actions affect them still stands. And then secondly, about values, we're talking about the case of Hitler and the case of, for example, Steve Jobs. And what the case of Steve Jobs tells us, that the side opposition has had the wrong view on this issue today in this debate, because they represented to us that if we know everything about the person, also the bad things, that will judge him on the wrong way, and it will be bad for him, it will be bad for the thing he's doing in his professional life. But what the side proposition showed you today, that's not so. We know a lot of things about Steve Jobs. We know that he was not the best person in his personal life, but we still appreciate his achievements in business. We still appreciate his achievements in his business life. So that's why in his business life. And also, when we're talking about the case of Hitler, I think that if we knew on that point that this man has totally wrong values, that this man is doing wrong things in his personal life, we'll also could connect these things, and we'll also could conclude on these things that he'll do bad things also in his in his public life. So, because the side proposition believes, and because I believe that we proved it through the entire debate, that values that are from your that you use in your private life also affect your public life, and thus affect the society, we beg you to propose the motion and to give the people a better chance to decide in the future. Thank you.